Welcome back, everybody, to Homesick Philly Bros, presented by AML Media. Alberta Marie Labordi Media. Love you, Mom. I am Gene Labordi. This is my brother Stephen Labordi, and behind the ones and twos and making all the magic happen, we'll call it, is Rachel Labordi, my beautiful wife. Thanks for joining us again. We'll get a nice quick update on everything that we found important and just have some fun along the way.
Let's do it.
Rach, before we really get into all of it, would you like to give us our plugs, please?
Okay. We are on Twitter at AML_media_. It's the same on YouTube. Instagram is AML media_. And then we are also on TikTok and Facebook under AML Media. You can find all of our links at AML.NEWS.BLOG.
Thank you for that. And keep up with everything on that, guys, because you want to get on this train before it really gets moving.
Get in early.
Yeah, and we might have some surprises for you. There might be some talks of some other streaming services down the future.
Not streaming services. You mean other...
Yeah, but whatever. Just other platforms and fun things to be able to watch us.
We just don't want to disappoint the people by not having
We're coming to Netflix, guys. They gave us a deal. Of course, our main topic point is the birds for this week. So just to get started, this segment is gut reactions. Eagles, Green Bay at the Eagles. We pulled off the win so we can breathe a little bit and have a little bit more fun on this podcast. It was a fun game. I don't think anybody out there predicted there was going to be over 70 points scored.
No.
Which, when it's not your team, it's fun to be like, oh, high-flying game. But we pulled it out. Scoring 40 points was exciting, but along the way there was a lot of, I'm going to cry. Wait, now I'm super happy. Now I'm angry. Like we talk about all the time, I know Green Bay's having a struggle, but this is the NFL. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's been sucking, but you never know when he can pull out just that gunslinger bomb, so you always got to be afraid of that. I was excited. Refs got a little bit too involved for a quick portion of the game again.
Which calls are you talking about?
Early in the game. It wasn't anything crazy. It's gotten a lot better from the last two.
We only had one penalty into the second half.
I guess I don't like refs, okay? You know what? And Collinsworth can kick rocks.
Okay.
That's my gut reaction. I hate hearing that old doofus talk and such a...
He doesn't sound anything like that.
He does
noise.
Every once in a while. He goes, this guy right here. And
that's a good Madden impression.
Maybe.
You sounded like Madden.
But Madden was cool.
Okay.
But now, a gut reaction, I'm just glad we pulled the win off. It's tighter than I thought it was going to be. Way more high scoring. But we did, I will say, we got a win in a different way than we have yet this season. And it was just scoring 40 points.
Yeah. Just for everybody out there, the score was 40-33 Birds. There was really no point in that game where I thought we were going to pull it out.
Well, we started up, 13 missed PATs, 2 missed PATs, and it was a windy game, they were saying. But we scored 13 points like that, and then I got really scared when they just came immediately right back.
Yeah. No, I hear you. My gut reaction, when we came out and scored like that, I knew it wasn't going to be like a repeat of the Colts game. We were clicking early.
Definitely.
And I was actually shocked that they scored 33 points on us. So my gut reaction to that is they shouldn't have scored that many points.
No.
I mean, if you look at how many points they've scored this season in most of their games.
I will say Aaron Rodgers made a couple, like right on the mark throws. We couldn't get to the quarterback a lot of times, so you can't cover that log anytime. And he will find an open receiver if you give him enough time. they got it done on the ground again against us for a lot of the game. But so did we. So I was excited to see that we went to the run early, whether it was our actual running back or Jalen just being Jalen and getting things done. Gut reaction, every time Jalen runs the ball, he doesn't need to, my butthole puckers up, dude.
I hear you.
Especially when he gets chased from behind and stuff. Like, it's just so easy for something dumb to happen. But we got people upstairs that are looking out for our Jalen.
When he took that awkward slide and ended up basically on his butt sitting up and got hit from behind, kind of in the neck area.
That, actually, you know what? That is where I thought a flag. There was a late hit, I think, that should have happened against us. Like, we had a player go out of bounds, and it was kind of a late hit. And then that play, I said, if that is Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, that flag is getting thrown. That's where I went. That flag should have gotten thrown. If they're going to protect quarterbacks, then do it equally, because it was a goofy kind of late hit.
Yeah,
Wasn't egregious, but...
If you want the refs to stay out of the game, though, but now you're looking for flags.
Yeah, but I guess I'm just bitter. I'm still bitter from the last 3 weeks.
You're bitter because Dallas Goedert is
Still
not
hurt.
playing right now after an egregious face mask that wasn't called. And I agree with you there.
And last week, the refs just would not just knock it off. Anyway, move past goddamn zebras. Shouldn't even talk about them that much. They don't get that much highlight in my mouth. But injuries, so why don't you go ahead and...
Okay, so real quick before I do injuries, let me mention a correction from last week. Christian Watson's not white.
Yeah.
He's light-skinned.
Not that it matters.
No, but
But-
it does matter. Everybody likes the white receiver, just like when there's a white defensive back, which we'll talk about later. Even black folks are like, whoa, that's impressive. So anyway, Christian Watson is not white.
No, he's got
Okay.
some cool tattoos. I mean, he's crazy tatted up, but yeah, when you see his picture in the bottom, you're like, that's not what I thought he'd look like without a helmet on.
So, my mistake.
Injuries, the biggest one, and so crazy. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, when he went down, we both were like, what just happened there?
Yeah. Yeah, it
It
looked like
didn't-
he was celebrating the hit and then suddenly realized something was wrong with him.
And now that we know it was a lacerated kidney,
Yeah.
because you're right, it was like a hit, didn't look at anything crazy, and then he went to like do a pump fist, and immediately I was like, that's bruised ribs. I've had a bruised sternum, and like I know how like your whole body almost hurts. With that, I was like, that doesn't seem natural. And the way he couldn't stand up and got carted off and was in pain.
He wasn't carted off.
Yes, he was. He got not carted off the field, but he took a cart to the locker room. He was sitting on a cart.
Oh, okay.
But no, you're right. He wasn't carted off of the field, but he took a cart back to the locker room.
You knew something was up when Sirianni came out onto the field to check on him, because usually the coach doesn't do that unless someone's fucked up. Scary, really. I mean, and the weird part about the injury is it's actually a better scenario than if he had broken or fractured ribs, because the lacerated kidney, I mean, I'm not a surgeon, but unless it's a crazy laceration, it
No
should
surgeries
heal.
needed.
It should heal in 2-3 weeks tops. So that's good news.
And I believe the kidneys, along with the liver, like they're a pretty tough organ, and they're really needed for your body. So evolutionary, I think they'd heal themselves pretty quick.
Plus, you have 2 kidneys, so
Yeah,
it.
but yeah, it's crazy to think. When I first read lacerated kidney, I was like, "Is this guy ever going to play in the NFL again?"
Yeah.
And then they're like, "We'd rather this than even a bruised rib almost." You're like, "What the? I know nothing about the human body apparently."
yeah. I instantly thought of Chris Sims from the Unbuttoned podcast, who ruptured his spleen and had to have emergency surgery. As soon as I saw lacerated kidney, I was like, Chris Sims made it back to the field, so will he.
Which is weird because I in middle school I had a kid rupture his spleen playing football, and you don't even need your spleen, but because it's in your body, if it's ruptured, it's pretty. I guess just shit leaks around and things aren't good.
It hurts.
Yeah. But so good, not season ending, because he's been awesome for us. What a pickup. And then Landon Dickerson went down. I almost didn't notice it. It happened later in the game, I imagine, because he played most of the game, right?
Well, if you're gonna intro it, know when it happened, dude.
Well, all right. Well,
Landon Dickerson
comes a guy who watches 100 hours of Eagles
Yeah, I'm
podcast
just
a week.
saying. Landon Dickerson went out with an ankle towards the end of the game, and he's been dealing with the ankle all season, basically. So, yeah, he's a great player, second-year player. So it's worth mentioning that Andre Dillard came in to play for him, who was supposedly strictly a left tackle. We see him in there at guard. It was kind of weird because he's not built like a guard.
No, and the ankle is one of those things, like, so much can go wrong with, like, it could be just linger forever. It could be something that's healed in a couple of days. You just never know.
Yeah.
And
this has been an ongoing thing all season, so it's probably going to suck for him the rest of the season, but I don't expect them to miss any time.
yeah, because our offensive line looked good. They were
That's the understatement of the year.
they were powerhousing.
That was let's get into the offense. Now, you mentioned a historic performance on the ground by the Birds.
And it's so fun to watch that. We've watched it for a little bit the last couple of weeks of it's hurts the defense so much when you're just getting 6-7 yards on a run on first down. And I mean, every commentary out there will say, you run early in the game, it pays off late. Of course it does, and it was a total example because, I mean, by third quarter you were seeing cornerbacks heavy breathing, just trying to help stop the run.
That's the biggest thing about pounding somebody with the run is it wears your defense out. I mean, I know from experience too, and it was weird because we came out throwing the first drive, and then I don't know what flipped the switch, but then they just decided, okay, maybe they were trying to break a tendency because Green Bay came in with a bad run defense, so maybe they were trying to
I know what you're doing, so I'm going to do this because you're doing that. Yeah,
I'm going to fake thinking about faking, and then I'm going to not fake or whatever. So the offense, though, Jalen Hurts had over 80 yards rushing in the first quarter. He finished with, 173 or something like that.
It was over 150, I know that.
Yeah, so unbelievable.
Second player to do it since, or whatever the stat was, second player to do it since Kaepernick when he won the Super Bowl that year, I believe.
Yeah.
It was the year.
Yeah, and Miles had 163.
And something important to point out is, which when it's happening, I don't always agree because I don't want to see Jalen get hurt, but these aren't just all scrambling yards.
No, a lot of the big runs were design runs.
Which, that makes me feel better because in a scramble, it's like that was our last option to make this play work.
No.
On a designed run, that means coaches are seeing something, execution's happening, and it's everything going together as opposed to everything blowing up. And
but it's not like a Michael Vick thing where it's just scrambling. It's like, right, he's got blockers out in front of him. It looked to me like, honestly, the Packers just weren't accounting for him, really. Or if they were, it was with a safety.
Yeah. That's not to say that he didn't have some sweet scrambles. He did get caught a couple of times, but that's going to happen. When if protection on the pass is there, sometimes you hold on to the ball a little bit too long to try and make something happen. You get a little tripped up. But regardless, I could watch those numbers. If we put up those numbers every time, I'd be the happiest man in the world.
Oh, yeah, it's so fun to watch your team just physically dominate the other team. And he threw the ball well, too. I mean, he only had, I think he had like 15 incompletions, but 5 of those were throwaways that were smart throwaways.
And not to take away from the Packers, there was 2 plays that are standing in my mind that the Packers D-backs, I don't know, cornerback or safety, did make like a good play. Like it was an opening that they closed on quickly. So, yeah.
Well, like we said before, in last week's pod going into it, I mean, the Packers had talented players on their defense. So, they're going to make their plays. But the offensive line was an A. I give them an A. Wide receivers, for how much they were involved, I give them a B+.
I'm gonna give him a B- because of the fumble.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Quarterback, A+. I mean,
How much can he squat again, Steven?
yeah, right. Let's talk about it. And then the backs. I mean, even Gainwell and Boston Scott had some nice runs, and there was like 3 passes to the running
Which
backs.
you really wanted to see. I think there might be a little bit more than that, but yeah, we were seeing. And I really like, which you don't get many yards out of, but because this goes to show that offensive line's doing their job, wide receivers just. But when you see Jalen go through his progression on just a pure passing play, and then goes, everything's covered up, running back for 4 yards.
Right.
That is like a sign of like everything went wrong, but we still got some yards out of it, and not afraid to do that as an option.
I think it's last season we saw Jalen check down a lot to the backs, and I think this season, because of the success he's had getting the ball downfield, he's been reluctant to do that. But if he can get that nice balance, and
sometimes 4 yards on a first down is huge.
Definitely.
When we're going, a slant gets covered, let's not take the unnecessary risk, and then boom, 4 yards to Boston Scott. That is like where games are won and lost.
And all these backs, even Gainwell, who has some drops, but if they get the ball in their hands, you never know if they can burst out of there for an explosive play. Speaking of explosive plays, Jalen Hurts had 4 runs for over 18 yards. And in Sirianni's world, he's all about explosive plays and limiting explosive plays. So you get 4 of those by your quarterback, one of which was like 42 yards. I mean, he could have ran the ball the whole game.
And
it was ridiculous.
And not to, everyone says it, and they mentioned it, that is momentum.
Oh, it hurts.
Especially on a broken play, and you're like, defense thinks they have the stop, and then he worms out, and then boom, 25 yards.
Right.
That is just everyone's sails have the wind taken out of them.
Especially when you do it on 3rd down. That hurts a defense and the Packer fans. That had to be a real gut check. You got him in 3rd and 7. You think, okay, we can get off the field here. He busts out for 20 yards.
Also, offensive line, going along with that, them doing awesome. We've seen a cool formation. We've seen them come out with, I would like to know what he calls it, that big formation.
Yeah, we
they
don't know
came
the
out
terminology, but we saw Cam Jurgens out there, the backup center.
playing like weird, almost slot tight endy thing.
Yeah, look, he was an eligible receiver.
I think they did it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and it worked. They did it on the goal line. It worked.
And the one I go, was it this? Because the first time we seen it, I thought it was a busted play, which I think it was. But then Jalen, that was one of his long runs, the whole right side of it, because you see that, it's big left, and so you're like, all right, here comes a run to the left side, or a screen or something, and then the whole right side of the field is wide open. So I'm wondering if the progression of that play is like there's option 1, option 2, and then option 3 is Jalen take off to the right.
I don't know.
It was cool.
It was cool either way, but I think that was a design play.
You think the run was designed?
Yeah, overload. Plus, you throw it another offensive lineman on the field, and the defense is obviously thinking something's going on over here. Just like
You know what? It's going to be really interesting to see is the long term. Like, all right, let's put that on film. If Sirianni's going, let's put that on film, and then in 2 weeks, or like when we go to play the Cowboys or something, they bust that out, and they're thinking, oh, if we see this, watch that. To shift the defense a little bit more right, and then have a screen set up and stuff. I'm always interested in that type of thing, like
counter to the counter.
Yeah, the long play, not the in game,
right. Which they've shown that they always are working on. So offense was great. Nothing really to complain about. What about the defense?
Fun game to watch that way. Defense, that's
different story.
A little different story. I think we're fixing some of the problems we've been talking about, but still. The run early in the game, I think we started to stop it late in the game. I don't know if that's because the Packers felt like they just had to come back, so they were going for chunk plays a little bit. But early in the game, we still were very susceptible to the run.
Yeah. Well, the defense is definitely predicated on getting a lead and forcing you to pass. But we've seen it a good, probably 3 or 4 games this season where if teams were willing to stick to the run even when they're behind, they'll find success.
That, and I'll give is it Aaron Jones? Sorry, I'm
There's Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon with their backs.
yeah. So Aaron Jones, he also had a couple big plays lining up in all wide receivers, no running backs.
Yeah, they were throwing a lot of screens, quick screens, bubble screens.
So like they were just, I guess, just using their good players, but it all started with a good run game, I think. But also, I guess we have to mention late in the game, Aaron went down, so you have to think like, did they have a game plan for fourth quarter? They just couldn't execute because Love
Jordan
had to
Love
come in.
came in and played really well.
Yeah,
and threw a 63-yard touchdown to Christian Watson. So I mean, that was the biggest play they made all day when Aaron Rodgers wasn't in. But the only concern really coming out of that game for defense is, again, there were a lot of times where it was a clear running down. And they just,
and
it wasn't bad tackling either.
Not necessarily, no, because we were seeing people like Darius Slay has said like he doesn't like having to get involved in the run game, and I don't blame him.
Right.
And I think these offenses are going early on. We have to get them involved in the running game because it's only, it's a war of attrition kind of like, let's get them a little beat up trying to stop the run, and then maybe late in the game that opens up them not being 100% fresh for like a long pass. So I'm wondering if these teams are going in there going like,
well, you don't run at the defensive back, if that's what you mean.
No, I'm saying I think like they were doing a lot of outside runs, which the defensive back will have to step up and get involved. I mean, like I don't know.
There was just a lot of space. We weren't missing tackles. They're clearing guys out. Linval Joseph got pushed off the ball several times. And to guys like Slay's credit, he did make a few tackles when he had to, but yeah.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm not saying they're designing runs to go at a cornerback, but I'm saying if they do an outside run, schematically to fill a hole, like cornerback's responsibility. If it's not a deep ball, he's got to at least try and beat a block and get his nose in there a little bit to say.
He's got to pay attention to the run.
Yeah, well, they're
attacking the backfield.
The whole run game they're attacking. But it did seem we got a little bit better. I will give him credit on that. And I think it's just coming down to the new defensive lineman coming in, maybe getting our system a little bit better, and maybe getting an in-game shape a little bit better. Because they're playing a lot of downs.
Yeah, they pretty much stepped in and supplanted pretty much our second tier interior lineman completely. If it's not Javon Hargrave or Fletcher Cox, it's Sue and Linval Joseph.
And we called out Fletcher. We called out Fletcher Cox last week a little bit. He stepped up this game.
Yeah, he had one of his best games of the season.
We've seen him in the backfield, making some tackles for losses, getting some pressures. So he probably heard us and was like, I got to step it up for the boys.
Right. I got to do a little extra.
But also to mention, it was sad to see C.J. Gardner go down, and then, which you cover them a lot, and I love my birds, Blankenship, this random person that we both I don't think knew at all.
No, I knew him from training camp.
But he stepped up and got an interception for us.
Big pick.
Like, he looked like someone who was out there playing for a spot.
He looked confident.
You were seeing him like not getting beat on things, but just when he made a decision, he went at it 100%.
Yeah, he was out there to lay some wood. But he did take a terrible angle on that Christian Watson play.
Yes.
But other than that, I mean, he's had 2 snaps on defense all season. So then you throw him in there as the starter, and he was getting his nose in on a lot of hits. He did take the 15-yard penalty on unnecessary roughness. Yeah. But he actually had to come out of the game for a little bit because he got bashed in the nose by his own chin strap, trying to lay a hit on somebody, and his face was all bloody. But he's fine. He's fine. But that was definitely encouraging because he's a rookie, and the Eagles have been trying to get Kavon Wallace ready to play safety for 3 years now, and this dude went right in and played well. And
when you love a team so much, to see someone step up, like, that's like, you get preached at as a little kid. There's 53 men, well, not when you're a little kid, but every man on this team needs to be ready to go when someone goes down. And to see that at the professional level, and we're like, oh shit, they're just going to go after. One of our best players just went down. They're just going to go right after that weakness. Right. Blankenship steps up 3 plays in or whatever it is and goes, interception, guys. I ain't as bad as you thought I was. That is
Darius Slay, big play Slay was pissed because he was saying he played in the NFC North for a long time and never picked off Aaron Rodgers. This dude picks him off in his first game against him.
Hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But
plus Slay had that one ball he tipped off his own helmet. That ended up being a Scott interception. So, we need to get the run defense figured out, and we're playing the Titans in the upcoming game. This is going to be a
test.
You know what Derrick Henry can do. So
I think their offensive line is a little chipped up. I know Taylor, because I watched the podcast a little bit. I know he's down right now, but they've had big running games in the 3 out of the last 4. Just because I have him on my fantasy, Derrick Henry is King Henry right now. So
right. Their offense definitely goes through him. We'll see.
Which brings us to our Bum or Beast segment. I was supposed to slip this in a little bit better, so we'll let you start with who your beast was.
Okay. My beast of the game, I think I said it earlier, and I'm going to stick with it. Reed Blankenship. I mean, to step up, getting thrown into a game like that as a rookie, a white defensive back, and make that interception and lay some big hits. That's not something that happens that often. And like you said, as soon as he came in, the Packers wanted to attack him, and he held his own. And we'll see what happens going forward.
And at such a technical position, at a pinnacle of the game, like this was close.
That pick was huge.
That pick was maybe the game winner. It's always hard to tell. So I was trying to be more secretive, or a better transition from us talking about him in the last segment.
Yeah, we just spent an hour talking about him.
So I'm going to get better at it for you guys. Just give me a little bit of time to adjust. For my beast, I was having a hard time. We've kind of talked about it. We're never going to say if you're ever going to give Jalen the beast of the week, it would be a week like this, but it's just corny.
It's like the MVP award. It's like it's always going to be a quarterback.
It's not fun for us to say Jalen every week. So we're trying to pick, and even this one is a little not as fun, but Sanders and the whole running back crew, but Sanders came out and was the running back that we all wished and thought he could be.
Yeah.
He wasn't only just hitting the hole correctly.
No, he ran hard.
And he was getting those yards after what do they call yards after contact and stuff. Caught a couple passes in some
2 touchdowns.
So 139 yards.
No, I think 150 something. A
50
big game.
Yeah,
a big game.
Big game. I knew it when I said it earlier. But yeah, so Sanders, that was fun to watch. And we always knew he could do it, but it's just things are clicking in that direction.
The kind of damage he did on 21 carries. I mean, when you watch the game, you would have thought he had like 30-some carries. If they could keep him around that amount, I think that's a load he can handle. But he was definitely a beast.
And that's why I kind of threw the running backs as because Gainwell and Boston came in, and it's not like it's a complete drop-off of running backs either. So it's nice to have that 1-2-3 punch. But then, so what about your bum of the week?
It's not really just this week. It's been since he joined the team. But I'm really, really, really disappointed in Robert Quinn. Defensive end. He played only 8 snaps this game, which shows you basically that the coaches either don't trust him or see a very limited role for him where he's just been a complete non-factor. And we gave up a 4th-round pick for him. And a 4th-round pick isn't just, a throwaway pick. So I don't know. How do you have 18.5 sacks last season and have 1, not as an Eagle, this season? And how does that happen?
I don't know this, and I don't know how we're using him. Well, I know how we're using him versus how he was used. The second we draft, you weren't excited about him when we got him. I was, because I looked back at what he did. and I was like, he might have been my first impact player when we started doing that segment because I was excited for him. But you're right. When we're on passing downs, he's not getting the pressure. He got one pressure,
Well,
I believe.
8 snaps is like,
But
what does that tell you?
one of their big runs, he was blatantly just like, he looked like he didn't know what was going on a little bit. So that's a good one there. And when we say bum, all we want as Eagles fans, get better.
It does seem like a harsh term, but we're sticking with it. And let's be honest, he's been a bum since he joined the Eagles.
Correct.
But specifically in this game, when I saw he only played 8 snaps, that's less than he's been getting. Is this dude degressing? Is he getting worse? We'll see.
Yeah, and I just wonder, well, even with 8 snaps, like if he got 8 snaps against Tennessee, I would have a more understanding. I go, okay, they're a run stop. Put him in on, obvious passing plays, but there's Aaron Rodgers back there. He still has the capabilities of being a passing quarterback, standing in the pocket or gunslinger or whatever. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me on that. Something's there.
You don't trade a 4th-round pick for a guy who you want 8 snaps out of. So something's up.
Yeah.
But who's your bum?
I'm special teams.
Yeah, it was awful, man.
Well, and I mean, take field goals out of it.
Yeah, real quick, Jake Elliott with that 54-yarder. That was a huge spot in the game. That pretty much sealed it.
Nailed it. They tried to freeze him. Stone cold faced.
Yeah, we tried to get him to jump too. Didn't work. But
no, take Elliott out of it. What the hell? Our kickoffs? What the? Teams are returning the ball when we kick it into the end zone because they go, I could get 50 easy almost. Like
it's bad. It's really, really bad. If you wanted to do a bum coach, Michael Clay, the special teams coach, it's been bad all season. It was not that great last season. They brought him back. It's the same shit.
We've had what was it? 2 games ago when we were on punt return and there was no reason for us to try and block the punt. It looks like we sent a punt block out there interfering with the kicker and got them the ball back. Like
just dumb shit.
Yeah.
Dumb shit. It's got to get better. It's got to get better.
And it's not like a lack of players. It's not like we don't have the people to plug in there. It's just I don't know special teams kick off that well, but why are we always getting over 100 yards returned on us? Like
yeah, it's got to get better. What's your let's get into the preview.
The
real
exciting
quick,
part.
we'll be quick on this one because the Titans really don't have a whole lot. They're a hard physical team. They will play great defense. They play good defense all season, and they use Derrick Henry a lot.
They're definitely
they're a quiet, good team.
No pushover at all. I'm glad it's a home game. I guess the only thing I can say is if there's going to be a team to beat us right now, it's going to be a run heavy team. Derrick Henry is, just by looking at him, the dude is no joke. He's a scary looking individual. He's got a good head on him, and I think their offensive line's a little beat up, I believe, but numbers haven't really showed that.
We'll see what happens. I think they've got a great coach, a great defense, and this is going to be a big test. So give me your prediction for this game.
I'm saying I wanted it to be a bigger margin, but I'm going 24-20.
Eagles?
Eagles, yeah, Eagles.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we can score on them. I think it's going to be one of those games. They're going to want to possess. They know our offense can score, and I think they're just going to run the ball and try and go for – they're going to want to have double amount of possession than we do. Mm-hmm. I think is if they can beat us, that's how they do it. Run it down our throats, tire our defense out, and late in the game try and make a comeback. I think like everything this whole season, second quarter has been our thing. I think by halftime we'll be up by 2 possessions, and then they're going to maybe make it a close game towards the end.
Okay.
What about you? Well, go ahead. Yeah, go.
I honestly think we're going to lose this game. I really do. Most
negative energy this guy brings. No,
they're not going to win out. And I mean, the Titans are better than people think.
No, I'm with you there.
So
I do.
I think it's going to be a 28-16 game. I think I don't think we'll be able to score on them a lot.
You think they're going to beat us 28-16?
I do. I'm just being honest.
Wow.
So who you got? This is our other segment here.
Who you got?
Who you got? Give me your bold prediction or breakout player in this game.
A.J. Brown is going to come back. He has had a rough last 2 weeks, had 2 big fumbles, but the man, he has a goal I think he wants to accomplish, and he's been let down. I think we're going to score more than 24 points. 24 points or higher, and I think he's going to have 2 of those touchdowns.
Okay. Me, I got... I think we're going to have a big game from the defensive back unit. I think Slay's going to get a pick.
Okay.
And I think we're going to cause a fumble and recover it. So I'm going to say the defense is going to cause 2 turnovers.
Give me a bold prediction of who's going to cause the fumble. Because I got someone in mind.
T.J. Edwards.
Yeah?
T.J. Edwards or Fletcher. Fletcher's good at getting his big arm in there.
Yeah. I was going to say Brandon Graham was flying around this last game.
Okay.
I think so. If I'm going to put a bold prediction out there, I think Brandon Graham's going to come in late on a tackle, pop that out. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I got the Eagles secondary with a pick, and I got a fumble caused and recovered by the Eagles. Even though I think they're going to lose, that's my bold prediction. And last week I predicted the Eagles run game would have a big game, and Miles Sanders would go over 150, and I knocked that one out of the park.
You knocked it out of the park.
So we'll see.
Me, not so much. I had Sue just because I know how much he hates Aaron Rodgers. Didn't have a bad game, but didn't do like anything crazy impactful. Our
average
predictions for last week, we both were crazy wrong.
Everybody was wrong about this game.
Our totals barely made how much, added up to how much the Eagles scored. So we're going to call that we were wrong, but we both predicted a win. One thing I got to say, you can tell this isn't just a Homer podcast. All right, the dude, we love the Eagles. He's predicting they're going to lose. So take that in your perspective of maybe we don't have every single stat for you, but we give it to you real.
Yeah. That's,
and that's what an Eagles fan, that's what a Philadelphia fan does. We love them while we're saying they're going to lose.
You gotta be realistic about the fact that the other teams are good too.
I'm there.
And I
with
really
you.
like Mike Vrabel.
He's hard to not like.
I think he's a great coach.
And it we always have the conversation. If the Eagles weren't around, who would be a favorite of yours? Tennessee is probably one of my top 3 of a team that I would root for.
Yeah, because they don't have any other sports franchise.
Yeah,
it's just a cool little
Tennessee Titans. It's cool.
Yeah,
the baby blue makes my eyes pop.
Okay.
But just a couple things that will end it with a little bit of fun. Well, let's just get the other sports out of the way. Phillies.
Bryce Harper, Tommy John surgery. We weren't sure last week's pod. We were speculating. He's going to be out into the All-Star weekend.
Is what they're predicting.
About that. And when he comes back, he'll only be DH, and he won't be playing the field, I'm sure. So
what I saw, and who knows, they said by the end of the season he could be back into playing into the field. So it just means that we need to beef up, and there's a player out there.
Trey Turner, we're gonna get him. That's my other bold prediction. Trey Turner will be a Philly.
That would be nice. And we won some games without him, so we've proven we can do it.
Yeah. And also, Bryce Harper's a Mormon. I just found this out. Also, Steve Young is a Mormon. Just surprising. I don't know why. Whatever works for you.
I guess if you're going to be straight edge, go all the way, right?
Yeah. Well, we've all watched some of the Mormon documentaries on Netflix. They're pretty weird, but
But not all. Yeah, when you see that, it's the weirdest of the weird. I just think the guy doesn't, drink or smoke or anything, and just believes in God. That's what I like to think.
It's what you like to think, because I doubt it. You're right, but yeah, let's keep it positive. And anyway, it's a shame that Bryce is going to miss that much time.
Yeah.
And what do you got on the Sixers?
Just we're picking it up. Embiid throwing down 11 points at the end. The last 11 points scored by the Sixers were from Embiid to beat the Hawks in an exciting game. We're making our fight back.
It's a long season.
It's a long season. We're missing 2 key factors. So yeah, we just got to stay in the fight at this point. It's early boxing.
Hey, we're over 500. We got to stay there, and talk to me after Christmas about how I really feel about the Sixers.
I believe in the coaching staff there, and I think we have the pieces. But yeah, it's so long, it's so crazy. Not that you must root for this because you hate hockey so much. Flyers.
I don't hate the Flyers, so I'm not rooting for it. But hockey does suck.
Yeah, guy doesn't like hockey because he could never skate. But no, last 10 games we've lost. It's not even worth me putting in the effort once again. We're homesick Philly Bros, so I have to make an effort to watch these out-of-market games.
Yeah.
So it's not even worth me turning them on. I don't know what's going on. I can't give you an answer, but fucking fix it.
This franchise is fucking tire fire. And it's been now for what, 7, 8 years?
I'm sick of here. We got young players. We can have this. Yeah. We finally have a goalie, all that. Well, fucking show me the pudding, because the proof isn't there yet.
Yeah, I agree.
But to end it on some fun stuff, I got one, you got one. And I with this type of thing, you never know. But Malcolm Jenkins, Eagles safety. I loved him.
Super Bowl champion.
I was sad when he left, but he went on to do good things again. He mentioned if the Eagles gave him a call, he says he's ready to play.
Yeah, and I watched the podcast he was on, and it was like tongue-in-cheek. He wasn't serious, but with C.J. Gardner-Johnson going down,
well,
we might need a safety. And he was just playing recently. So
I would be all for it. And obviously, you're not going to get Super Bowl Malcolm Jenkins, but you're going to get a leader. Yeah. You're going to get someone who's willing to sell out a little bit.
He's a hometown guy. He's an Eagle. He won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. He could come back and people. But I want him to stick with Reed Blankenship. But you never know. I doubt it's going to happen, but it'll be a cool story.
Maybe they can split some time, work out something. But I wouldn't be mad about it.
He's better than Kayvon Wallace.
Yeah, for 3 years of just. Sure. And you brought something fun up. I didn't get to see this, but our old homeboy Andy Reid, a revival of Andy Reid, Michael Vick.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where you're going with Reid on that.
No, Andy. After Michael Vick's problems, Andy Reid was like, I'll take a chance on you to bring it back.
Yeah, Michael Vick, on that note, Michael Vick did say that him and Andy talked when he came to Philadelphia, and Andy said if he would have been coaching him since when he came in the league, they would have won multiple championships.
And I believe that. We both love Andy Reid. We got to say that out loud.
Everybody loves Andy
Reid. It's hard not to.
But anyway, Michael Vick was on Club Shay Shay with our boy Shannon Sharp. Come on, Skip. Can you just come on?
It is.
I love it. It's comical. It's entertaining.
It's a good. That is because sometimes I get bored with super sports shows and stuff because it's all them just repeating each other. Those guys, that is a show. If you're gonna want to get into it, it's comical, entertaining, and they do some hard hitting pieces. They're not afraid to tackle things.
They don't just cover everything for 3 minutes. We're talking about Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. They spend like 15, 20 minutes on a subject.
They put their homework in.
Yeah, but in any case, Club Shay Shay is Shannon Sharp's podcast, and he had Michael Vick on, and I watched the whole thing, and I got to tell you, Michael Vick got screwed over with all his settlements with the Falcons. And apparently he had invested over $8 million in the city of Atlanta. And when he got in trouble, all this money just started disappearing. He never got it back. He's very humble, very honest. this is a great podcast to watch. This episode specifically, Michael Vick's story is really fascinating. More fascinating because he played for the Eagles and played well for the Eagles when he got out of prison. But
On that
check
note,
this out.
we were talking about. Oh, sorry. That's good.
No, I was just gonna say everybody should check out the podcast Club Shay Shay this week. Michael Vick.
It's whether your thoughts on it. I'm a crazy animal lover. I've cried when animals die in video games. Michael
Really?
Vick did something. You remember Resident Evil? You killing zombie dogs. I
Okay.
cried when I was a little kid.
Anywho.
When I was a little kid, I'm an animal lover. Let's put it that way. But you just when people still want to hit on Michael Vick for that thing, that is one of the few high-profile professional athletes that actually paid his time.
He did almost 2 years in prison.
He
dude.
did all of it, and when you really dive into it, it was an atrocious act that was happening. It wasn't just on him, but it all landed on him. So I don't want to go too far into that, but I think the guy is interesting to say the least.
And he was really honest about how his friends, his homeboys who like live with him, were trying to tell him that they shouldn't be messing around. Like, he made sure to point out that a lot of people think it was his boys that were dragging him down.
Yeah.
And he said it was the complete opposite. He wasn't listening to nobody. People were telling him he shouldn't be involved in that. It's stupid. But they didn't want to take it too far because they didn't want to get kicked out of crib.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody should
that
check
goes
that
to
out.
show that's a character thing there.
And Vic's
you know.
doing a book, so I look forward to that coming out. So let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap that up. Good week, good week for us. Birds got the win. Excited for Sunday.
10-1, man. 10-1. Best team in the league.
Rachel, could you please just give us our plugs, and then that'll be it for Homesick Philly Bros, presented by AML Media. Rachel, why don't you go ahead and sign us off?
Okay. So you can find us on Twitter at AML_media_. YouTube is the same. Instagram is AML Media_. And then you can find us on TikTok and Facebook just under AML Media. You can find direct links to all of our pages on AML.NEWS.BLOG.
Thank you very much.
Come
Once
on back.
again, Homesick Philly Bros. I'm Gene Labordi, Stephen Labordi, and the Magic, Rachel Labordi. Yeah.